She thought she was just being kind, a simple meal, a simple act of compassion, until the man she helped returned with a team of lawyers and an accusation she never saw coming. What happened next left everyone speechless. If Becky Morrison had known that a plate of scrambled eggs and toast was about to turn her entire life into a legal shitstorm, she might have just thrown the damn plate out the window and called it a day. But no, because Becky, unlike the universe, actually had a heart. It was a slow Tuesday night at Danny's Diner, the kind of place where the coffee was always burning. The air smelled like grease and broken dreams, and the regulars tipped in loose change like they were doing her a favor. Becky had worked the night shift here for years, scraping by on half-hearted smiles and the occasional pity tip from truckers who thought calling her darlin' would pay her rent. And then he walked in. Well, stumbled in was more like it. The guy looked like a pile of old coats that had developed a soul and decided to give life one last shot. His hair was a mess, his face was buried under weeks of unshaved regret, and his boots, Jesus, they had seen things. He stood in the doorway for a second, like even the warm air inside was debating whether to let him in. Becky had seen a lot of broken people in this place, ex-wives with alimony payments bigger than their houses, factory workers trying to drown their shifts in bottomless coffee, drunks too proud to admit they were lost. But this guy, he wasn't just down on his luck. He looked like luck had taken him out back, beat the hell out of him, and left him in a dumpster to think about his life choices. He shuffled to the counter and didn't even try to meet her eye. Becky sighed. She already knew how this was going to go. "Hey, sugar," she said, forcing her voice into something friendly. "You want some coffee?" The man hesitated, like she just asked him to accept a kidney. I don't have any money," he mumbled. "Yep," called it. Now, Becky wasn't stupid. She knew Danny's had rules. No free meals, no loitering, no charity. Basically, the official policy was, screw the poor. But the way this guy was shivering in his torn-up coat, he looked like he'd lost a fight with winter and lost badly. She glanced around. Danny, the owner, wasn't watching. Neither was Karen, the manager, who had all the warmth of a tax audit. "Screw it," she muttered. She poured him a hot coffee, grabbed a plate, and loaded it up. Scrambled eggs, hash browns, extra toast. Nothing fancy, just the kind of meal that reminded you what warmth felt like. "Here," she said, sliding the plate over. "Eat." The man's eyes flicked up to hers, just for a second. And something in them, shock, gratitude, made her feel like she'd done something right for once. He ate like a man who hadn't seen real food in a month. "Thank you," he murmured, barely looking up. Becky just waved him off. "Don't mention it." And she meant that, because as soon as she clocked out, she was going to forget all about it. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that in less than 24 hours, that man would come back with a legal team, and her whole world was about to explode. Becky had seen a lot of weird things at Danny's Diner, but a 3-person legal team sitting in her section? That was a first. And right in the middle, Mr. Homeless Guy, except now he was clean-shaven, suited up, and looking like he owned the place. "Are you Becky Morrison?" he asked. She eyed him. "Depends. Who's asking?" "James Wright, attorney at law." Oh. The woman next to him, definitely a lawyer, sighed. "We're here regarding the meal you provided last night." Becky frowned. "You mean the free meal?" James nodded. "The discriminatory meal." Her brain short-circuited. "You assumed I was homeless," he continued. "That assumption was based on appearance, creating a bias-driven act of wrongful aid assumption under the Equal Public Treatment Act." Becky blinked. "You're suing me for being nice?" "Correct." Before she could fully process the insanity, Karen, her boss, corporate robot extraordinaire, slithered over. "Is there a problem?" James handed over a legal document. "Your employee will receive an official lawsuit notice within 48 hours. Karen turned to Becky. "I think it's best if you say, take time off, I quit." Karen shut up. James smoothed his suit. "We'll be in touch." And just like that, they walked out, leaving Becky, the diner, and her entire life in total chaos. Becky wasn't about to let some suit-wearing opportunist ruin her life over a plate of eggs. If James Wright wanted a legal battle, he was about to get one. Her first call, Lisa, the paralegal friend. Lisa skimmed the lawsuit, shaking her head. "This isn't about justice," she finally said. "It's a publicity stunt. They don't expect to win. They just want attention. They're setting a precedent." Becky's stomach twisted. "So I'm just their test subject," Lisa sighed. "Pretty much. They assume you'll panic and settle. That's what they want." Becky exhaled slowly, her pulse pounding. "Then let's make sure they regret it." The next day, Becky went live from the diner. "Hey everyone, just a heads up, I'm being sued for giving a guy breakfast." The diner fell silent. Customers froze mid-bite. Then, phones came out. This man didn't need food. He needed attention. And if he wants the spotlight, let's make sure he gets it. She laid it all out. How she saw a man in need, how she chose kindness, and how that kindness somehow turned into a lawsuit. By the time she ended the stream, the diner was buzzing. Customers were whispering, shaking their heads. Some even started recording their own videos. An hour later, her post had 10,000 shares. By the time she clocked out, 50,000 views. By the next morning, national news was calling. Then came the backlash. It started small, angry comments on James Wright's firm's social media pages. Then, a petition. Then, #justice for Becky started trending. By noon, thousands of people were flooding his office with calls. News outlets were running segments. Talk shows were roasting him. And James Wright? Oh, he wasn't smiling now, because he just lost control of his own story. James Wright expected Becky to roll over and take the hit. What he didn't expect: a full-blown internet revolt. By the time Becky woke up the next morning, her phone was exploding with notifications. Lisa's name flashed on the screen. "Pick up, pick up, pick up," Becky muttered, answering the call. Lisa didn't waste time. "Do you have any idea what's happening right now?" Becky rubbed her eyes. "I mean, I figured people would be mad, but..." Lisa laughed. The kind of laugh that meant, "Oh, you have no idea. Becky, your video is at 2 million views. National reporters are looking for you. And James Wright? His firm's website crashed from the sheer number of hate comments." Becky sat up so fast she nearly fell out of bed. 2 million? Oh yeah, and that's just TikTok. Twitter's even worse. #justice for Becky is trending #2 nationwide. Becky gaped at the screen as notifications poured in faster than she could read them. "So we're suing waitresses now for being decent human beings? Good job, America." James Wright really woke up and chose to destroy his entire reputation over a plate of eggs. "I hope she countersues for emotional distress because I'm stressed just watching this unfold." And then, the memes started. Someone photoshopped a courtroom sketch of Becky sliding a plate of pancakes across a table while James looked offended. Another one? A fake restaurant sign that read, "Breakfast special, free with a lawsuit." Becky covered her mouth to keep from laughing too hard. "Oh," Lisa added, "and you might want to turn on the news." Becky grabbed the remote and flipped through channels. There it was, her own face, plastered on the screen, next to a giant headline: "Waitress sued for feeding customer. Public outrage grows." A reporter was mid-sentence. Legal experts are already questioning the validity of this lawsuit, while social media users have come out in full support of the waitress. Meanwhile, the law firm representing Wright has yet to issue a statement. Critics argue this case highlights the growing divide between... Becky dropped the remote. She wasn't just in a messy situation anymore. She was at the center of a national controversy. While Becky was still processing the fact that she had somehow become the face of kindness lawsuits, the real chaos was happening at James Wright's firm. By noon, his office was flooded with calls. His Google reviews destroyed. "If I could give this firm negative stars, I would. They literally sue people for feeding others. I hope this lawyer gets served a court order just for existing." Who wakes up and decides, "Hey, I should sue a diner waitress for being nice"? It wasn't just random people who were mad. Companies started pulling sponsorships. Clients started canceling contracts. Even some lawyers were publicly distancing themselves from James Wright. And then came the worst blow of all. At exactly 3:47 p.m., James Wright's firm released a statement. It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was close enough. "After reviewing the details of this case, we have decided to withdraw our legal action. It was never our intention to create unnecessary controversy, and we regret any distress caused." Translation: "We underestimated how mad people would get, and now we're running for cover." Becky read the statement out loud to Lisa over the phone. Lisa laughed. Wow, they folded fast. Becky smirked. Guess they weren't expecting 2 million people to show up at their door. By the time Becky went back to Danny's diner for her next shift, she was treated like a local hero. Regulars cheered when she walked in. Someone had taped a handmade sign above the counter, Becky's table, where kindness is always on the menu. Even Karen, who had completely abandoned her when things got tough, was suddenly trying to be nice. We really appreciate what you do here, Becky, Karen said, forcing a tight smile. Becky just nodded. Oh, sure, Karen. And then she went right back to serving breakfast, the way she always had, because at the end of the day, a plate of eggs wasn't just food, it was proof that kindness still mattered.